if you're anything like me, you spent Thanksgiving eating your face off, and then you said, no, I can't eat another bite. And then you retired to the other room where you just let your stomach go for a while. And then, strangely, about an hour later, you're like, is there anything to eat anywhere? But what else did you do? If your family is still there, I want you to talk on this show. If you're DVRing this show, good. Feel free to pause it and have a conversation about it, because that's really what we need to do. We need to have more conversations in this country among the people that we love. How many of us talk about things that are meaningless? But things are about to change, and we need to lead that change. I saw a piece of video that I know that everybody can, because everyone on the planet has yelled at me and said, oh, gee, Glenn, that's Oprah Winfrey. You can't think about Oprah Winfrey because that people were really excited about getting new stuff and stuff. And I'm like, really? Watch the audience as they are on Oprah Winfrey and they find out that she's going to do her, I don't know, favorite thing show, and they're going to get her favorite things. Watch this audience.
It's the brand new, totally redesigned 2012 Volkswagen Beetle.
Okay, now they want a new car. That's cool and everything, but watch. Okay, now it's starting to get a little spooky. It goes on and on and on. People are down on their knees and they're praising God and everything else. And look, I've never won a car, and I gotta believe I'd be going, yes, Oprah, I love you. But it seemed, is it just me? I mean, when nobody here is winning a car. You've won a brand new pencil. Yeah. I mean, is it just me? I mean, it just seemed over the top. Here we are on Black Friday. You know, the original Thanksgiving happened on, I think it was December 18th in the 1700s, after our country was founded. And they said, let's have this Thanksgiving. And they said, even harmless recreation shouldn't be done, because we should be falling to our knees and giving thanks to God for everything that we have. But what we have, I think, is leading us. What we have is what we're worshiping now. They're Black Friday campouts. Do we have any pictures of the Black Friday campouts? There's been couples that are in this tent, and they've been there for like a week and a half. They got their stuff. Yeah, look at me. I'm going to get stuff. Apple iPhone lines. I've never understood the Apple iPhone. This is the Apple store in Manhattan. And dopes line up for the new Apple iPhone. I mean, you can buy them without camping out in like 2 weeks. I mean, really? What is happening to us? What's happening to us? Do you remember the people that were in Detroit and had the Obama Cash? Remember, I played this audio for you. Do we have that audio? Here's what people in Detroit, they lined up to get free cash. They didn't even know what it was, but listen to the joy in their voice.
Why are you here?
To get some money.
What kind of money?
Obama money.
Where's it coming from?
Obama.
And where did Obama get it?
I don't know. His stash. I don't know. I don't know where he got it from. But he giving it to us to help us. We love him. That's why we voted for him.
Gosh, I hope I never worship stuff like that. You know, Rabbi Lapin was on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the story of the Tower of Babel and what binds us. Remember, the Tower of Babel story was about Nimrod, the king, the hunter of men, And he made everybody into bricks. In other words, they weren't stones. I mean, if you're going to look at, if stones are more like people. Stones can be like this. They're all different. And they're made individually. No two alike. If you noticed, fingerprints, no two alike. Nobody. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. And it's interesting because our fingerprints, it's our hands. It's what we do. It's what we create. We create with our hands. And they're all different. But Nimrod wanted to make all of us the same, into bricks. And then he used mortar. And if you remember what Rabbi Lapin said, the Hebrew word really, mortar is materialism. Materialism is what held everybody together as bricks. They're stuff. I'm going to show you something that is in Broke. This is a book that, I mean, you don't need stuff, but you definitely need to run to the store and buy this. I've been saying for a couple of weeks, if you just go stand in the bookstore and you just read the first couple of pages, I can guarantee you that you will buy this book and you will have it on your shelf and you will use it for years to come. Just in the first couple of pages, the first chapter is Ancient History, Modern Lessons. And it talks about ancient Rome. And we're going to do a show, I think, next week on ancient Rome. And the parallels of ancient Rome, they're spooky. We are repeating everything ancient Rome did. But in the, I think it's on like page 6, yeah, page 7 is, in those in the city in ancient Rome got an increasing amount of government handouts for their money, a practice that was part of the long-term plan to make people forget about the history. So they were trying to make people forget about what was going on. And so they gave the people, particularly in the cities, more money. According to Gibbon, the guy who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, which was what, in the 1700s that he wrote that, he said, it was artfully contrived by Augustus that the enjoyment of plenty would make the Romans lose the memory of freedom. The enjoyment of plenty would make them forget freedom. That's intense. Think of that. Here's to be a place, and just give me like 5 more seconds, and then stop and talk about this amongst yourself with your family. How much did we even know about our own history 2 years ago? And why? Why did we not learn it? Why didn't we know? Why didn't we explore? Why didn't we ask more questions about the Patriot Act? Why didn't we ask more questions about what's really going on with our finances? And how can we possibly afford Social Security, Medicare, and now health care and everything else? How come we didn't ask these questions earlier? Because of our stuff. We were held together by stuff, by entertainment. And as I say, because of yesterday, food, entertainment, and stuff. If we are hungry, and I've told you before that inflation is coming. If we're hungry, what binds us? If we don't have our cable television, if we can't get the latest, game, if we're sleeping outside of the Apple store for the latest iPhone. We're sleeping outside of the Best Buy. For what? For entertainment. But what does the entertainment do? I mean, it keeps us busy and everybody loves entertainment, et cetera, but really, it stops us from talking to each other. Do you remember, at least me, when I was a kid, we didn't watch football. We had food. Grandma, whoa, we had food. If she would have been Italian, I'd be a dead man. Had lots of food, entertainment, but we didn't have a lot of stuff. But what we did have was we talked. I remember the holidays lasting well into the night all around the kitchen table. We were always sitting, and they were the same stories every year. Every single year, the same stories. But we learned about our past. That's important. Did you do that this Thanksgiving? The weekend's not up yet. Do it. Your children must know their past. I want to show you this coat because I learned so much about myself in the last week or so with this coat. And it actually also restored hope in people. This coat, you see here, it says here, for the wardrobe of Bill Beck by the Varsity Shop, Mount Vernon, Washington. My father had one suit, and he apparently got it at the Varsity Shop. This is my father, and this is my sister. I'm not in this picture, but this is my father. And this is our bakery when I was growing up. And I grew up in a little teeny town called Mount Vernon, Washington. And in the 1970s, early 1970s, the town was dying. And my folks saw it coming. The mall moved into town, and my folks saw it coming. And they knew, as stores were closing, they knew we had to change. So here it is, 1972, 1973, somewhere in that area. And the bicentennial was coming, and we lived in Mount Vernon, named after Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington, in Washington State, named after George Washington. And there's nothing like this on the West Coast, and so they said, you know what, maybe we should make a little colonial town. It'd be kind of cool for the bicentennial, and we can make it into a little town. It's a destination. We're going to have to change. It's not going to be, we're not going to have JCPenney's, we're not going to have Sears and everything else, but it's going to change, but we can bring in specialty shops, and we can have gas lamps and everything else. And so what they did is we started this little militia. Yes, I've said it, America. Glenn Beck's in a militia. I think there were 3 at the beginning. And this is my father. This is that coat. I hadn't seen this coat probably since about 1977, maybe. I don't know where it has been. I'll tell you how I found it here in a second. But what I learned from this coat, as it was delivered to my office here in New York just last week, was that it's not by happenstance that I'm here. My folks loved my little hometown. I still do. It's a great, great town. It has weathered. They're still bricking the streets, and they're now making it into the town my folks said to make it into. Because see, my folks, they didn't win. And it became very awkward for my family. I mean, you're dressing like this in Pacific Northwest, you're not real popular. And they could only get a few people to catch the vision of it. And too many people in town at the time were in denial. They said, oh no, the malls are a passing fad. Really? Are they now? And so they couldn't save the town. And my folks ended up getting a divorce, and our bakery was sold. And a bakery that had been there since the late 1800s closed. But they never stopped fighting. And this coat made me realize that I'm my dad. I'm just doing it on a national scale, not the local scale like my dad and mom did. My mother made this coat by hand. I remember she made the patterns herself. She cut out the patterns and she made the patterns herself. So, the second thing I learned from this coat was that people are good. People are good. Let me tell you how it found its way to me.